You're not going to believe this one of Florida's most loyal tourist groups is pulling out. And the cracks in the economy? They're already showing. We're talking about Canadians, the snowbirds who spent decades wintering in the Sunshine State. This time, it's not just a slowdown. It's a quiet, determined exit. Bookings are down. Properties are being sold, and for the first time in years, even Florida's most dependable visitors are saying we're done. You might think this is about high prices or insurance hikes, but what if it runs deeper? What if it's about feeling disrespected, unwelcome, or ignored? For many Canadians, this isn't just about money. It's about pride. It's about respect. And now, the consequences are adding up. Canadians used to spend over $6 billion a year in Florida. That money, it's now staying in Canada or going to Portugal, Mexico, and the Caribbean. Real estate data already shows a 25% drop in Canadian buyer interest. Rentals are sitting empty. Properties are stalling. And Florida, they didn't see it coming. If this is what 2025 looks like, then 2026 could be worse. Because this quiet boycott is real, and it's spreading. If stories like this matter to you, hit like and subscribe. It helps this video reach more people who need to hear it. Now, let's get started. For years, it was a ritual. Every fall when the leaves turned in Ontario or Quebec, thousands of Canadian retirees packed up and headed south. They weren't just tourists, they were snowbirds, people who lived in Florida for months at a time. They built friendships, they built routines. They returned to the same diners, the same beaches, the same neighborhoods year after year. One couple from Montreal said, "We spent 25 winters there. Every December, we'd pack the car drive down and meet the same friends at the same diner. Florida was our second home. But that ritual, it's breaking. A growing number of Canadians are walking away. Not because they want to, because they feel they have to." A woman from Vancouver told the CBC, "The vibe has changed. It's not just the cost, it's the politics, it's the tension. It feels like we're not welcome anymore." Some Canadians have already sold their Florida homes. Others simply didn't go back. One family from Ottawa, after 17 winters in Naples, sold everything. For them, 2025 wasn't just a break year. It was goodbye. And that goodbye comes with a price. Canadians used to spend more than $6.6 billion in Florida every year. Housing, restaurant, groceries, entertainment. Now, that money is flowing elsewhere, Portugal, Mexico, and the Caribbean. What was once a seasonal tradition is starting to look like a closed chapter, and Florida, whether it admits it or not, is already feeling the loss. The shift isn't just about money. Insurance rates and taxes have always gone up. Snowbirds adjusted. This time, something deeper changed. The tone. For years, Canadians were treated like family in Florida, but slowly, that warmth faded. Canadian leaders were mocked. Their concerns were brushed off. Donald Trump returned to the spotlight, calling Canada mean and nasty. Governor Ron DeSantis shrugged off snowbird worries like they didn't matter. For many, that crossed a line. One retired couple from Nova Scotia put it plainly. "We spent years in Florida." But after the jokes, the name-calling, the smug attitude, we're out, and they weren't alone. Online snowbird groups are full of the same frustration. Not just about prices, about being dismissed. One man from Winnipeg said, "Florida thought it could do just fine without us. But now the parking lots are emptier. The restaurants are quieter." Across real estate forums, travel boards, and local businesses, the message is the same. Canadians weren't priced out. They were pushed out. What's striking is how quiet it was. No big protests, no hashtags, no flashy announcements. Just a slow fade. Bookings dropped. Flights had empty seats. Florida homes sat unsold. At first, people thought it was temporary. Maybe just post-pandemic adjustment. But then, the bounce back never came. One retired couple from Quebec said, "We didn't make a big deal. We just didn't go back. And most of our friends didn't either. What happened wasn't loud, but it was deeply felt. A quiet protest, not born of anger, but of exhaustion. Exhaustion from being mocked, from being taken for granted, from feeling like second-class guests. And that's what makes it powerful. This wasn't about demands. It was about a decision to leave quietly and not return. As one Canadian wrote, "We found a condo in Portugal for less money and more respect. No drama, just peace." Florida didn't notice at first, but now the signs are everywhere. Empty patios, quieter highways, slower bookings. What looked like a pause is starting to feel permanent. And the message behind it all is simple. You didn't lose us because of taxes. You lost us because you stopped listening. At first, Florida brushed it off. Local officials called it a market cooling. Real estate agents said it was just a phase. Governor DeSantis, he barely acknowledged it, insisting Florida's economy was strong enough to stand alone. But that's not what the numbers say. We're talking about billions in lost revenue, not just from housing, but groceries, car rentals, entertainment, even healthcare services. One couple from Ontario told the CBC, "We used to spend over $25,000 every winter on contractors, restaurants, even haircuts. Now, that money goes to Portugal. Multiply that by tens of thousands of households, and the loss is staggering." In cities like Naples, Sarasota, and Fort Lauderdale, the pinch is real. Rental properties sit empty. Seasonal workers, cleaners, servers, tour guides are seeing fewer hours, or no hours at all. Here's the irony. Some Floridians cheer the snowbirds leaving. They think it means less traffic, cheaper homes. But that's not how it works. Without snowbirds, many small businesses can't survive the off-season. Prices don't drop. They rise. And sometimes, the businesses just close. Florida's winter economy wasn't built on week-long tourists. It was built on snowbirds. Steady, dependable visitors. And many of them were Canadian. Now in 2025, the cracks are everywhere. A construction worker in Lee County said, "Winter used to be our busiest time. Now jobs are slower, or don't come at all. This isn't just about tourists. It's about residents, seasonal residents, people who lived part-time in Florida. Their absence leaves more than empty cafe chairs. It leaves gaps in the economy that Florida never expected. And Florida isn't alone. Across the U.S., Canadian pullback is reshaping tourism and property markets. In Houston, Canadian real estate interest is down 55%. In Philadelphia, 53%. Chicago, nearly 50%. These aren't just numbers. They show a shift in sentiment. Because it's not just about property. It's about perception. Arizona, once a snowbird paradise, is seeing fewer seasonal visitors. In Nevada and New York, travel platforms report sharp declines in Canadian searches and bookings. And here's the kicker. In many places, Canadians aren't being replaced by others. The rentals are just vacant. This isn't a loud boycott with signs and slogans. It's a quiet fade-out. Restaurants are emptier. Beaches are quieter. Winter towns are scrambling to adjust. Meanwhile, countries like Spain, Costa Rica, and the Caribbean are ramping up their outreach. And Canadians are listening. The old tradition, a condo in Fort Lauderdale, a flight to Phoenix, is being swapped for cheaper, friendlier options abroad. Florida may have taken the hardest hit, but the message echoes across the U.S. You thought we'd always come back, but this time we didn't. The numbers don't lie. 6 straight months of double-digit decline in Canadian tourism. Surveys show 70% of Canadians either canceled or changed their U.S. travel plans. That shift isn't small. It's massive. And it touches everything. Not just winter homes, not just snowbirds, but family trips, road travel, shopping weekends, entire vacation routines. What used to be automatic, a winter in Florida, a shopping run across the border, is now being rethought. And unlike in the past, this doesn't feel temporary. This feels permanent. Because once trust is broken, it rarely comes back the same. Florida still has the sunshine. But the warmth, that's fading. Canadians aren't just taking a break, they're moving on. And if this is what 2025 looks like, 2026 could be even worse. Because what's happening now isn't a seasonal dip. It's a shift, a turning point. And Florida may not be ready for what comes next. If this story resonated with you, hit like, subscribe, and share it. It helps us reach more people who need to hear what's really going on. And if you were once a snowbird, or if you've chosen to walk away, drop a comment below. Your story could be in our next video.